So for the purpose of today's class, sorry, there we go. Let's have Leah, you ask the question to Sky. Sky, you ask the question to Carly, and then Carly to Leah. So we'll start Leah to Sky.
Me to Sky. Okay. Sky, ellos hablan por teléfono.
Sí, ellos hablan por teléfono. Carly, ellas caminan en el parque.
No, ellas caminan en las montañas.
And typically, you would make la montaña singular in Spanish. Ellas caminan en la montaña.
La montaña. Leia, ellos corren en las montañas.
Sí, ellos corren. No, ellos corren en el parque. Sky, ellos ordenan las bebidas.
Sí, ellos ordenan las bebidas. Excuse me. Carly, ellas aprenden español.
Sí, ellas aprenden español.
Siguen, Carly número 1.
Leia, ¿tus hermanos viven en Denver?
Sí, mis hermanos viven en Denver. Sky, tus primos escriben mucho mensajes en Facebook.
No, mis primos escriben, ¿cómo se dice never?
Nunca escriben.
No escriben.
Nunca.
O nunca escriben
Nunca.
mensajes en Facebook. Carly, ¿tus padres beben cerveza?
Sí, mis padres beben cerveza. Leia, ¿tus hijos comen quesadillas?
Sí, mis hijos comen quesadillas. Sky, tus vecinos reciben.
Vecinos, or in your case, vecinos. Make that a TH sound, Leah, vecinos.
Vecinos reciben muchos visitantes.
No entiendo. ¿Es vecinos, neighbors?
Yep. So do your neighbors receive a lot of visitors?
Okay. No, mi vecinos nunca reciben visitantes.
Okay, muy bien. So now that we've gone through the full verb chart, we can start getting a little bit more creative about mixing and matching some of these questions and answers. So another way you can ask a question would be to do it in the same format with the they. However, this is going to be what we're going to call the second person plural this time. So, ¿qué hacen ustedes? Ustedes is the plural form of you in Latin America. And in the next level, we're going to talk about how we do this in Spain, Leia. But for now, we'll start with ustedes. ¿Qué hacen tu esposa y tú? If we don't know the context of the conversation and we need to, establish the context. If we already know who we're talking about, we can say, ¿qué hacen ustedes? And this is like saying, what do you and your wife do, right? So again, even though we're in the second person plural here, we can answer in the first person plural. We talk about the news. Nosotros hablamos de las noticias. So let's practice with this. Let's go Sky to Carly. Number 1.
Carly, ¿tus amigos y tú hablan mucho?
Sí, hablamos mucho. Leia, ¿tus amigos y tú caminan en las montañas?
Sí, tus amigos caminan en las montañas.
So when you answer it, you're going to say mis amigos y yo.
Mis amigos y yo caminan en las montañas.
And then you're going to say caminamos because you're answering yes. So she's asking you, do your friends and you walk in the mountains? And you're answering yes, we walk in the mountains. So you can either say mis amigos y yo caminamos en las montañas, or simply sí, caminamos en las montañas.
Caminamos en las montañas. Sky, tus amigos y tú ordenan pizza en casa?
Sí, mis amigos y yo ordenamos pizza en casa. Carly, tus amigos y tú toman cerveza?
Sí, tomamos cerveza. Leia, tus amigos y tú reservan hoteles?
Sí, mis amigos y yo reservamos hoteles.
Muy bien.
Sky, tus amigos y tú beben ron?
No, mis amigos y yo nunca bebemos ron. Carly, tus amigos y tú comen comida cubana?
No, no comemos comida cubana. Leia, tus amigos y tú corren juntos?
¿Qué significa juntos?
Together. So do your friends and you run together?
Sí, mis amigos y yo corremos juntos. Sky, tus amigos y tú aprenden español?
Sí, aprendemos español. Carly, tus amigos y tú viven cerca?
No, mis amigas viven en Oklahoma. Leia, tus amigos y tú escriben cartas?
Sí, mis amigos y yo escribimos cartas. Sky, tus amigos y tú reciben regalos?
Sí, recibimos regalos.
Okay, muy bien. Okay, so let's take a look at what we call la forma migratoria multiple, or the FAMAMA. So this is specifically for going to Mexico. Of course, you'll see something similar for going to Spain, Leia, or for going to Colombia, Carly. So the good news about this is it will be bilingual, right? So don't feel like you have to really nail this stuff in Spanish, because you can see, you know, we've got nombres right next to first and middle names, right? Apellido right next to surname. So these are some of the more important things that you're going to need to know for when you are traveling abroad. So they'll ask you questions called datos de ingreso. So datos just means facts or information. Ingreso means like about the entering. So this is the information about entering the country, right? That we will see here in this form, right? So you can see it on the form here, vía de internación, nombre de aerolínea, etc. Since it's kind of hard to see here on the form, I split it here. So vía de internación, aéreo terrestre. So you could probably guess what these means, right? If you're flying on a plane, you would circle aéreo. If you're like going on a bus or driving into the country, terrestre, right? So it just means by air or by ground. Punto de internación. So imagine we're going to Puerto Vallarta for vacation. We would select that airport. Fecha de llegada a Mexico. This is the date of your arrival. So the verb llegar means to arrive. Llegada means your arrival. And this is probably the most important thing to point out about this, is they do the months backwards, right? So the months and the date backwards. So we would do, you know, let's say March 10th. In Spanish, you would have to do the 10th of March. And then A stands for año, right? So that's going to be reversed. Fecha de salida is your date of departure. The name of your airline, nombre de aerolínea, and then the flight number, número de vuelo. Any questions about this? All right. Of course, you'll have to put your datos personales or your personal information. So that is, of course, down on this form here too. If we look up here, we've got name, last name, nationality, etc. So nombres is going to refer to your first name and your middle name. And then apellidos would refer to your last name. Sexo, hombre o mujer, so man or woman. Fecha de nacimiento, your date of birth. Again, remember the day and the month is reversed here. So you put the day first and then the month. Nationality is nacionalidad o país. So of course you're going to put Estados Unidos de América. If you were born here in the United States, Estados Unidos de América. Were you born here, Leah?
Mhm.
Okay, I know you spent a lot of time in Europe, so I wasn't sure. So if you're born somewhere else other than the United, was anybody born somewhere other than the United States? No? Okay, perfect. Okay, so then the next section here is just your information about your ID, documento de identificación. So of course, to enter the country, you need to go in with a passport, pasaporte. Número de documento is your passport number. País de expedición is going to be, of course, the United States, unless you're traveling with some other passport. I don't think I have any CIA agents in here, so maybe
Wouldn't
though.
tell you if we were, you know.
Yeah,
so.
yeah, I never know. So, okay. And then the information about where you currently reside, país de residencia, Estados Unidos de América. And then dirección means your address. So this is dirección de residencia is where you're going to put your full official address. And then it'll have you fill out information about your trip, información de viaje. Motivo de viaje, that's like your reason for travel, where there are other reasons that might be on the form, but probably the ones that you would fill out here would just be either negocios or turismo, more than likely. If you start filling out anything else, you know, you might get into a complicated situation with the customs agent there. So I would probably recommend either putting down something like that, right?
¿Qué significa tripulación?
Tripulación, I don't even know what that means, to be quite honest with you. I've never had a reason to use it. Let's see here. Tripulación in English. Crew, if you're on the crew, if you're on the flight crew.
Okay.
So even if you were traveling, you know, if you were flying on the crew, you would have to fill that information out. Here, if we're going to Puerto Vallarta, we're in the state of Jalisco. And then you'll need to put the address where you're staying. And here I just put Hotel Mexico, right? So you'd put in whatever hotel information. The next thing that we would have here is La Aduana, which is customs. So again, basically, you're going to fill out most of the same information here. Apellidos, nombres, nacionalidad, fecha de nacimiento, número de pasaporte, visitantes, número de días que permanecerá en Mexico. So this is where you're going to put the number of days that you will stay in Mexico for this trip. So you might say 7 days. And this is for visitors. This one, residentes in Mexico, this is for people that live in Mexico, so you don't have to fill that out. This, they're asking how many days you stayed abroad. The next section, número de familiares que viajen con usted. So how many family members are traveling with you? Número de piezas de equipaje, How many bags of luggage do you have? Suitcases or bags or boxes or whatever. Equipaje faltante o por importar por carga. So this is falta is like if there's other bags or luggage that you're waiting on to arrive. Again, medio de transporte marítimo. This is if you arrive by bus, boat. Aéreo is plane. Terrestre is by land. And then they're going to ask you here if you're carrying anything that you need to declare. Traer dinero en efectivo, documentos por cobrar, una combinación de ambos. So efectivo means cash. And the magic number is $10,000. So if you're traveling with more than $10,000, you're supposed to declare it. And if you're traveling with less than $10,000, then you can just hit the no. So unless you are, more than likely, unless you're going for business, if you're traveling for business and you're actually selling products or services while you're in the country, you might have to fill that out. More than likely, you're just going to hit no for this section. Okay, so let's look like what the conversation would look like if you're going through customs. Okay, so let's have Carly or let's have Sky. You can be the oficial, and then Carly, you can be the turista.
Documentos y pasaporte, por favor.
Aquí tiene.
¿Cuál es el propósito de su viaje?
Estoy vacaciones.
Estoy de vacaciones.
Estoy de vacaciones.
¿Cuánto tiempo piensa quedarse?
Me quedo por una semana.
¿Dónde se queda?
Me quedo en el Hotel México.
¿Cuál es su ocupación?
Soy, ¿cómo se dice writer en español?
Soy escritora.
Escritora. Soy escritora.
¿Tiene algo para declarar?
No.
Bienvenida a México. Disfrute su viaje.
Muy bien. So this is obviously like anything can happen here, but this would more than likely be what the conversation would look like. Any questions about this? I think most of this is probably pretty easy to figure out. ¿Cuánto tiempo piensa quedarse? So quedarse is the verb to stay. So here he's asking you, the official is asking you, how long are you going to stay? And you're answering, I'll stay for a week.
¿Qué
Where?
significa piensa?
To think. So how long do you think you will stay? I will stay for a week. The next question, ¿dónde se queda? Where will you stay? I'll stay in the Hotel Mexico. Any other questions about that? Oh, okay. So now Carly, you can be the oficial, and Leah, you are the turista.
Documentos y pasaporte, por favor.
Y tiene.
¿Cuál es el propósito de su viaje?
Estoy de vacaciones.
¿Cuánto tiempo piensa quedarse?
Me quedo por una semana.
¿Dónde se queda?
Me quedo en el Hotel México.
¿Cuál es su ocupación?
Soy informático.
Informática.
Soy informática.
¿Tiene algo para declarar?
No.
Bienvenida a México. Disfrute su viaje.
Okay, muy bien. And then now let's go, Leah, tú eres la oficial, y Sky, tú eres la turista.
Documentos y pasaporte, por favor.
Aquí tiene.
¿Cuál es el
Propósito.
a propósito de su viaje?
Estoy de vacaciones.
¿Cuánto tiempo piensa quedarse?
Quedarse. Quedarse.
Quedarse.
Me quedo por una semana.
¿Dónde se queda?
Me quedo en la Hotel México.
¿Cuál es su ocupación?
Soy la arquitecta.
¿Tiene algo para declarar? Declarar?
No.
Same word in French.
Mhm.
Bienvenida a México. Disfrute su viaje.
Actually, I do have a question on that. On
Okay.
the, when it says me quedo por una semana, how come it's not un semana?
Semana is feminine. Una.
Oh, okay, okay.
See, it ends with an A.
Okay, gotcha. Thank you.
All right. So that's actually it for the level. Congratulations. Lesson 10 is the last